Hi, I'm Marcy Lundy. Today is Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, and this is the Cult of Kindness podcast. This will be the season finale episode. We will take about a 2-month break and then we'll be back on. I'm so happy as we head out for the season to have a wonderful guest today. Please welcome Jamie Lerner to the podcast. Can you hear me, Jamie?
Yes. Hello.
Okay.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sure, of course. So I always encourage reading. We always have our book of the month, and there's no difference this summer. So as we head into the summer, our book of the month for the summer is going to be Jamie Lerner's book that she co-authored, The Ever-Loving Essence of You. Jamie, if you could tell the Cult of Kindness podcast a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Thank you. So I was born with a knowing, and I think we all are. And over time, we kind of tend to get further and further away from our inner knowing, inner being. I, however, stayed very true to my own voice. And I was always interested in the study of psychology. I went on, I got my master's in social work. I had a private practice, and for a long time, I thought I was assisting people, but then I realized I wasn't. So I gave my practice up. I studied and traveled, and now I do something really different, which is more of an integrative approach to well-being, where I assist people in assisting themselves to getting from where they are to where they want to be.
Oh, I love that. In this day and age, I feel like we're all just all over the place, so we need to center. Thank goodness for people like you. Well, that's wonderful. I love that, just helping get people where they are. How do we create and sustain an ongoing long-term connected relationship with ourselves? I know that sounds odd, but how are we able to do that?
Well, I think that when we realize that the foundation for every relationship that we go on to have with another is based on the relationship with ourselves first and foremost, then we're able to pause and think that through.
Right.
We tend to not want to do it for ourselves, but as soon as we add other people into the mix, then it seems like there's more of a motivation. So I tell people, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for your future relationships with your children, with your partner, with your coworkers, with whoever it is that you are going to surround yourself with. And that seems to get people's attention.
Right.
So most people don't even realize they don't have a connected relationship with themselves.
Right.
But they do feel, I think, an absence. Something is missing. And the interesting thing is they always assume it's the another person. They never consider that maybe it is their own connection with their self.
Yeah.
So, and I think that that's where everything starts.
Yeah, that's true. Initially when I started this podcast, it was about kindness, but as the seasons went on, I realized that there was a need to identify if we're being kind to ourselves. And so, sometimes that's hard, because you're like, oh no, it has to be the other people. It's not me. But when we take the time to look at ourselves, and it's like, oh, we need to do the work and we need to be gentle with ourselves. So, how would an individual identify that for themselves?
Well, I think it's hard to ask people to be kind when they don't feel kind, because it's not genuine. We can go through the motions and pretend, but when we're trying to be kind and we don't feel kind, we get really resentful.
Right.
And then it just becomes this downward spiral.
Yes.
So the idea that if we could just sit with ourselves quietly for a few minutes in the morning and just ask ourselves, what is it that we can appreciate about ourselves? Not what someone else is appreciating about us, but what do we appreciate about ourselves? I
Mm.
think that few moments goes a long way to set the tone towards the beginning of being kind and gentler with ourselves.
Very good. Yes. Growing up, my father would always tell me to live and let live. And, that's such an important tool to carry just throughout life, just no judgment. And if you could explain or talk a little bit about the importance of creating unconditional relationships throughout the art of just allowing people to be themselves.
So once again, it starts with us. So
Yes.
can we be in such a good feeling place with ourselves that we allow others to be who they are and where they are? And when we are feeling so good about ourselves, we tend to feel good about everybody. And
Right.
we tend to mind our own business and not really care what other people are choosing for themselves. But most of the time, we are disconnected from ourselves. And so we are looking outside of ourselves and casting an unkind eye to others, which is actually just projection. It's an
Right.
indication that we're not feeling good about us, but instead of, asking ourselves the question in this moment, why am I disconnected to myself? We tend to judge other people we don't know, people
Yeah.
we'll never see again, complete strangers. And the problem with that is it doesn't feel good when we're in that place of judgment to
Right.
us.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like an indication that, I like to laugh a lot when
Yeah.
I catch myself, in a place of disconnection, because it's a gentle reminder that, okay, the next moment I can be connected to myself, or the next moment it's a choice.
Right.
But a lot of times we just kind of run our life in complete unawareness of what we're thinking about and how we're feeling about what we're thinking.
Right. Uh, a lot, we may be aware, but we have relationships with friends or family members who are in a headspace where they do a lot of judging and, uh, need to have that awareness of themselves. Is there anything we can do for ourselves and for them? Because that can feel very toxic being around individuals like that. What can we do for ourselves and possibly for the others that may need that help?
That is such a great question. And the answer is to allow those people to be who they are and where they are, and to make a different choice for ourselves and maybe choose not to be with those people.
Okay.
I mean, not to punish them, not to punish us, but
Right.
we are not really here to change anybody or to school anybody or to tell anybody how they should or should not be. We are here to be connected to ourselves and to live a life filled with joy and filled with, um, a purpose of when we're comfortable in our own skin, that is the greatest gift that we can give another person, because then they are at ease with themselves. So there is a lot of wonderful things about unconditional moving about the world and just letting people be who and where they are.
Yes, that's true. Um, I was given the information to change your story and you will change your life. So, in theory, it sounds wonderful. And I think for some, it's easier than others. Uh, what does realizing you need to do that look like?
Well, first of all, we don't need to do it. The thing is, we have to understand that we're not a victim to
Okay.
our story, But
Yeah.
if we're choosing to maintain the story that we were told, because
Yeah.
oftentimes we tend to believe the story that we were told, which is not even really true, but
Yes.
we didn't bother to fact check or to update or to do anything to even confirm this story
Right.
that's been passed down to us. So, but to consciously choose to understand that the story that we're telling other people,
Mhm.
first of all, is it true? And second of all, how does it feel when we're telling the story? And
Mm.
for most people, they've never bothered to check in with themselves about how they're feeling.
Yeah.
They're just kind of recite it incessantly and are completely unaware of it. Um, and we end up just feeling disconnected and not good.
Yeah.
And then kind of paralyzed, not able to move forward.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that invested most of their lives in believing this story and reciting it. And then they don't want to give it up, and that's okay. So I just
Right.
ask people, take responsibility, and there's a lot of power in owning that you're
Mhm.
choosing to possibly live out and recite a story that's not true. It's not even
Right.
about you. It's okay, but
Right.
you're not a victim to it.
Yes. Now, if we happen to know the person is living in the story and it's not accurate, should we just stay quiet, or as friends or beloved family members, or should we just allow them to have their experience?
Well, are they asking
No.
you? So this is the thing, most people are fine with who and where they are, but it's our belief, because we're doing something different for ourselves, that everybody
Mhm.
wants to do it. And quite
Mhm.
frankly, that's not true.
Mm.
Most people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
However, I think that there are ways that we can influence people. And I think the best way to do that is through the changes that we make in ourselves. And then we
Okay.
become the living, breathing example of what's possible.
Wonderful. Yeah.
But for people that want to update their story or fact check their story, or just change the tone of their story or
Mhm.
change a sentence of their story, I mean, just a little goes a long way.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's mental wellness on many levels. Just to be able to, if you can change a sentence, that's a good
Yes,
start. Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
But
Uh,
you might
yes.
ask the person that you know how they feel about their story, because some people have
Mm.
never been asked that. That what a great question, And
Yeah.
if they don't feel good about it, okay, well, how could you have that story
Mm.
but feel good about it?
Right.
Sometimes our most difficult things that we have gone through become our greatest strengths as
That's
adults.
true.
So yeah.
Yes. How, if we aren't the person telling our story, if we're the individual hearing the story, what's the best way to support the person?
I think to ask them what the upside is,
Mm.
that's so fascinating. What's the upside? Like, what was the outcome of that? Because this
Yeah.
is, I mean, because you can really turn it around and turn it into something very self-empowering.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you for that. If individuals wanted to get in touch with you and learn more or seek your expertise, where would they be able to find you?
I have a website. It's
Okay.
www.jamie-lerner.com.
Okay. Wonderful. And as I said, this will be our summer read. And so even though I said it's the season finale, I definitely will come back on and discuss the book. So for all of those looking for the book, where would they be able to find your book?
It is on Amazon, and it
Okay.
is a timeless gem, very easy to read. You could
Okay.
open it to any page. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good read, gentle and loving.
Yes. Yes, I think this is a good book for the summer, so for all of us to do a bit of work on ourselves in a good way. Well, Jamie, thank you so much for being on. Thank you for writing The Ever Loving Essence of You. I look forward to getting into it, and I'm sure the Cult of Kindness audience does as well. So thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. I love you all. Take care.